Christianity and fundamentalism, I realized that there is a very deadly philosophy that exists in church. The boys will be boys. This ideology that men are superior to women that exists in church is deadly. The idea that women have to serve men and be under the authority of men is one of the deadliest, abusive ideologies that exists on this planet. The idea that you have to make allowances because boys are going to do things. This kind of ideology sets up men to be excused of grotesque behavior. If boys as young as 10 years old can get away with assaulting, hurting, or beating up a girl, imagine what they're going to be like at 30. We excuse so much male misconduct in this country. No wonder people like Epstein and Trump are experts in assaulting women, because secular religious society believes you have to make allowances for growing pains of men. There's never accountability. Nobody tells girls, well, you're growing up now, so we're going to have to make allowances for you. Nobody makes allowances for women. They don't make allowances for women. It's nothing to do with that concept. Girls are taught from birth that their value intrinsically comes from how little body count and action and experience they have. We teach boys that your bad behavior is just normal behavior. It's expected of boys. Boys are going to act out. They're going to push boundaries. Instead of saying boys will be boys, we need to say that bad people will be bad people. And regardless of what age a man or a boy is, he knows how to treat people with respect. He knows what he's not allowed to do. He knows. There is no way a boy does not know how not to treat a woman. Everyone knows you're supposed to treat everyone with respect. The idea that boys will be boys creates a dynamic where boys get allowances, girls get dress codes. If women got the primary acceptance, women would have some equality. But as long as we look at boys who do bad things intentionally as growing pains and not as dangerous behavior. If you've seen the show Adolescence, where the very young incel kills one of his classmates, people will say stalking and threats of a 10-year-old kid as boys will be boys instead of seeing it for what it is. We excuse men from accountability when we use phrases that invalidate what their victims feel. How a woman feels about a man who did bad things, regardless of if they're 10 or 30, is important. We need to call boys on their crap. Touching people without consent, even at the age of 8 years old, is not acceptable. You can teach boys, regardless of their age, what is and isn't acceptable in society. If mothers actually cared enough about their sons to educate them, hold them accountable, we would not have people like Diddy, Trump, Epstein. You don't think that the world told them that boys will be boys? My response to that is, well, girls will be girls. I personally think that the way men are treated by women is karma for how men disregard and don't hold men accountable. I think that the loneliness epidemic, the 4B, the 50% of people no longer wanting to have kids or be married anymore, or be 4B, child-free and single, is karma for every man who was just an asshole. And boys will be boys is what gets boys into the mindset that touching a woman without consent is just growing pains. That forcing yourself upon a classmate is part of adolescence. Boys will be boys creates a dynamic where offenders and bullies aren't taken seriously, that their behavior is minimized and treated like a joke. I don't care what age you are. Everyone knows, male or female, not to touch people without their consent and not to treat people like commodities. And until we focus our priorities on treating boys with respect, holding men accountable, I don't care how women dress. If people's priorities are dress codes instead of creating an environment where girls aren't scared to be alone, you have some fucked up priorities. We should make no allowances for anyone. Anyone who does anything disrespectful, downright illegal, should not be given any allowances. I don't care what age, what your past is. You know it's not acceptable. You know it's wrong. And boys can be boys. That can just, we just need to see that disappear entirely. Because women deserve better. They deserve boys will be held accountable.